Hey, good morning and welcome to West. Today is November 1st. My name's Andrea Smith. I have the privilege of being the pastor here. If you are newer to the West community, we would love for you to text the number that you see on your screen, or if you can't see the number on the screen, if you just see me, text the number 704 343 8955. 704 343 8955. Let us know that you are newer to the West community. We have a gift that we'd like to send you, and we'd love to know how we could be of service to you. Today is All Saints Day, so we pause for just a second in this sacred moment and remember all the saints that we love that have gone before us. It's the day after Halloween, and yesterday we celebrated Halloween in the middle of a pandemic in a very creative and unique way. It actually leads into what we're going to talk about today. Yesterday we really have no idea how many cars came, but a lot, at this thing called Trunk or Treat. It was like a drive-through trick-or-treating, and several West folks and Faith folks had cars that were decorated lining the Lake Norman High School parking lot. And then at the end we had different volunteers that were giving out big bags of candy, just one big bag, and then some crafts. And then we're launching Amped 2.0, which is our online children's worship experience. So I hope you'll tell your friends and your family about that. But yesterday, one of my roles was to oversee the thing and to start getting things ready. And we were here, and it was a little chaotic. Like one day we ended up packing candy bags. The next day, some of our staff made cotton candy all day long. Seriously, like that's all that they did. And then yesterday, all the staff were to gather here together. And then there was discussion about like who's going to go to the high school and lay out the parking lot. We had a map and all this kind of stuff. And a couple of the staff looked to me and said, okay, I need to go to the high school to start setting up my stuff. Do you want to go show me where to go? And I'm like, no, actually, it is not a good idea for me to go to the high school with you right now. I will mess it all up. Even though I made the map, I can put it on paper, but that is a skill that I do not have, being able to spatially design things and think through all the details and the logic of an event. I'm a big picture kind of girl, not a detail kind of girl. So I knew that Dawn, our communications catalyst and connections catalyst, I knew that Dawn could give direction. So I delegated, and I'm like, Dawn, will you go to the high school and you lay out the parking lot? And Dawn was willing to do that. I had the knowledge of knowing how the event was supposed to happen and how things were supposed to be. And like I said, I even made the map. But I had the wisdom to know that if I was in charge, we would have a mess, because I know my limitations in that area. We are, living in such a challenging time. We have anxiety around this pandemic. We have anxieties around the election on both sides. And so one of the things that we want to do as a West church community is help you have some skills that will help you live into having a happy and wholesome and fulfilling life, even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty and anger and all the negativity that abounds. We want to help you be the best that you can be and experience life in its fullness. So today, we are going to talk about wisdom and knowledge, and how to know the difference, and what do we do with those two words. If we will cling to wisdom and not knowledge, I guarantee that our lives will be richer and more fulfilled. There's a couple of stories I'm going to share with us from the scripture this morning, and I hope you will find our time together meaningful. I'd love for you to take a look at this Halloween video that Josh whipped up overnight. We had a great day yesterday, and it was really cool to be talking to the guests, and they were like, thank you so much for giving our children something fun and some hope in the middle of just really uncomfortable and uncertain times. So West community and friends of West, thank you for your tithes and your offerings. The money you give to this church made yesterday happen. And you really made Halloween special for a whole lot of people. So thank you. Take a look at this video.
My eyes beheld an eerie sight, for my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
he did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast, the ghouls all came from their humble abode to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocky.
Look down from a broken sky, traced out by the city lights. My world's a mile high, best seat in the house tonight. Touchdown on the cold black tar, hold on for the sudden stop. Breathe in the familiar shock of confusion and chaos. All those people going somewhere. Why have I never cared? Give me your eyes for just 1 second. Give me your eyes so I can see everything that I keep missing. Give me your love for humanity. Give me your arms for the broken-hearted, ones that are far beyond my reach. Give me your heart for the ones forgotten. Give me your eyes so I can see. Yeah, 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 yeah. Step out on a busy street, see a girl and our eyes meet. Does her best to smile at me, to hide what's underneath. There's a man just to her right, black suit and bright red tie, too ashamed to tell his wife he's out of work, he's buying time. All those people going somewhere. Why have I never cared? Give me your eyes for just 1 second. Give me your eyes so I can see everything that I keep missing. Give me your love for humanity. Give me your arms for the broken-hearted, the ones that are far beyond my reach. Give me your heart for the ones forgotten. Give me your eyes so I can see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Been here a million times, a couple of million eyes, just moving past me by. I swear I never thought that I was wrong. Well, I want a second glance, so give me a second chance to see the way you've seen the people all along. Give me your eyes for just 1 second. Give me your eyes so I can see everything that I keep missing. Give me your love for humanity. Give me your arms for the broken-hearted, the ones that are far beyond my reach. Give me your heart for the ones forgotten. Give me your eyes so I can see. Give me your eyes, Lord, give me your eyes. Oh, everything that I keep missing. Give me your arms for the broken-hearted. Lord, give me your heart. Oh, give me your eyes. Yeah, yeah, eyes so I can see.
I love Halloween. I love the spookiness, and I love a good scary movie. But one of the things that I don't really care for is coming up with creative things, like how in the world to have a costume. And so one of the things I try to avoid every year that we do trunk or treat is I try to avoid having a trunk, because I just am not very good at it. And so Lane, my daughter, is living with me right now as she transitions into adulting with a full-time job, and I love having her at home. And she was so happy to be able to do trunks for trunk or treat because she's back in town now, and so that was really cool. But I did have some curiosity as to what her obsession was with her Halloween costume. Like a week ago, all of a sudden I get this like text, and she's decked out, and she was Cruella de Vil and promoting Amped, our new online worship experience for kids. And so she was decked out. She had the wig and the gloves and the coat and all this kind of stuff. And this was like a week and a half ago. I'm like, okay, I love your costume. You look great. This is awesome. And so a week and a half goes by, and she asked me what I was going to be. I'm like, I'm going to be like a fallen angel or something. I don't know. I had finally worked up the courage to go to the Halloween store and just purchased it all. I didn't want to have to put anything together. I just figured I could buy it and make it happen. And so Friday night I was out, and I get another text from Lane, and again, she has on her Halloween costume. I'm like, wow, Lane, you look amazing. You look so good. It's going to be so much fun tomorrow. She even had the little Dalmatian dog and all this kind of stuff. And I did wonder, I hadn't said anything to her, and I know you're watching now, Lane, so surprised. But I didn't say anything, but I'm like, what's the obsession with dressing up in your Halloween costume multiple times? So yesterday, like I said, the staff were here. We were getting ready for everything, and you know, it was a little like all hands on deck, a little chaos, a little nervousness and energy. And then I got my Halloween stuff ready. I brought it with me, and I got ready to put it on. And I'm like, oh dear, I forgot a part. I brought the wrong part, so I have to run home. And I thought, okay, it's 10 to 12 minutes. Dawn's in charge at the high school. It'll be fine. I do think as the pastor, like, I need to be there if the staff's going to be there, but I needed to have a Halloween costume. So I ran home, and I got my costume out of the bag. Now, I need to tell you that they had pictures and directions on the bag. So I thought, it's all good. I'm covered. And so I got this out. Again, it was supposed to be this fallen angel. I had some horns and a little black wings to wear, and I was so excited. And I got my costume out and started to put it on, and realized this was a catastrophe. No matter, it was this dress thing, and the promo said one dress worn in 20 different ways. And I'm like, how cool! How cool! I can have sleeves, it can be strapless, it can be one shoulder. I mean, I was like, this is going to be the coolest costume ever, depending on how I feel and my fluffiness meter for the day. I can make this dress do whatever I want it to. And so I started putting it on, and I realized that this was supposed to cover my body, and there's just no way to make that happen. And I spent at least 25 minutes frantically trying to get this dress on my body in an appropriate manner. I'm like, this is not going to work. The staff are going to all be so mad at me. I need to be there. The Halloween candy's in the back of my truck. This is awful. I was so upset. I tried to figure out other costumes. Then I'm like, I'm just not going to wear a costume at all. Then I'm like, I'm the preacher, and I was going to greet all the cars, and I didn't want to seem stuffy because we're not a stuffy kind of church. And it was 25 minutes of really bad emotion, okay? And then I was getting ready to give up, and because there's no way that I could go dressed like that. It was so inappropriate. And underneath my bed, I saw this thing. It was like this black, like, undershirt thing, and it had fallen out of the bag and fallen underneath my bed. And in that moment, I realized, this is why Lane has tried on her Halloween costume multiple times, because you see, planning for something and making sure that you have all the parts and the pieces and that it's all going to come together well. When you think through it and you plan for it, good things happen. When you wait till the last minute and you don't spend a lot of time and intentionality and energy around something, it ends up being a cluster, which is exactly what happened to me yesterday. Luckily, the staff gave me grace. I got there, everything came together, but I lost a lot of anxiety and energy in those really uncomfortable moments. This morning, I want us to talk about wisdom and knowledge. I want us to understand that if we will think about it, and if we will understand that wisdom is a gift to us from God, that we can embrace and we can actually really work on, our lives can be so much better. So wisdom, the definition of wisdom, take a look on your screen. The definition of wisdom is discerning understanding. The Hebrew word is hakma, and it means gaining intelligence about something for skillful living. I don't think any of us would argue that we could use more skillful living so that maybe we will be equipped to handle the things that come at us in life. We can gain more skillful living. We can gain better understanding if we will broaden our understanding of what wisdom really is. So there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. Knowledge is having facts and information. Have you ever met folks that are really book smart, but then when it comes time to make a different kind of decision, like a life application kind of decision, they're like, I just can't get to that? That's understanding and information and knowledge. Like when you have a lot of information in your head and you get all the facts and the data. But wisdom is different. Wisdom is when we can look at a situation and we can look at it in its entirety. And we understand all the parts and the pieces, and we can discern how we need to act and how we need to react so that the situation and our circumstances can be the best that they possibly can be. This morning, it is my hope that at the end of our time together, we will be committed to being a people seeking wisdom. It's something in our lives that we are never going to fully have achieved. We can always grow in wisdom and understanding. And if we will be intentional about it, our lives will be so much less stressful. We won't be putting Halloween costumes on 10 minutes before we're supposed to be at an event, because we will have made some plans beforehand and we will have looked at all the parts and pieces. There's a guy in Scripture, his name is Solomon. He was known to be the wisest king of all times. If you've heard of King David, the little boy who fought the giant in the Hebrew scriptures, and he went on to be king, and he was a really great king. And if you stay tuned to Amped after worship today, you're going to see David and something that happened in his life. But David had a baby boy, and that boy's name was Solomon. And Solomon grew up under his dad's leadership, and he became the king of the Hebrew people. And he had just taken the reins on, and he was feeling a little overwhelmed, like we do, right? When we find ourselves in situations that are new or probably bigger than we thought that they would be. So that's what happened with Solomon. He's like, I'm in charge of these masses of people, and he was a man of deep faith. So he went to God in prayer, and he's like, God, I don't know what to do. This is a lot. So God, can you help me? I want you to hear these scripture verses from 1 Chronicles this morning. That night, God appeared to Solomon, and God said, "What do you want from me? Ask." And so Solomon answered, "You were extravagantly generous with David my father, and now you have made me king in his place. Establish, God, the words that you spoke to my father, for you have given me a staggering task, ruling this mob of people. Yes, give me wisdom and knowledge as I come and go among the people. For who on his own is capable of leading these, your glorious people?" And God answered Solomon, "This is what's come out of your heart. You didn't grasp for money or wealth or fame and the doom of your enemies. You didn't even ask for a long life. You asked for wisdom and knowledge so that you could govern well my people over whom I've made you king. Because of this, you get what you asked for, wisdom and knowledge. And I'm going to present you the rest as a bonus, money, wealth, and fame beyond anything the kings before or after you had or will have." And then Solomon left the worship center at Gibeon and the tent of meeting, and he went to Jerusalem. He set to work as king of Israel. I think one of the really important things for us to take away from this story is that Solomon knew that he didn't know. Solomon knew that he didn't have the knowledge and the insight that he needed to be able to govern his people. And he really wanted to do a good job. He wanted to give his best. So when he was presented with the opportunity to ask for what he wanted and what he needed, he asked for that which he thought would give him the greatest opportunity to be his best self. So think about that for just a second. And how does that apply to our lives? How many times are we driven by circumstances? We want to get this done. We want to achieve this. We want these certain things to happen in a certain way. And when they don't, we get really disappointed or we get angry. We experience conflict, and instead of taking a step back and looking at the conflict and seeing what we can learn from it and how we can grow and understand in it, we just feel like things are bad and they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. I would challenge us all to think about wisdom on Tuesday as we receive the results from our election. You know, one of the things that I love about West is that we represent all sides of the political spectrum. How cool could it be, and how respectful could we be if, whether the results come back the way that we want them to be or not, we would look at the situation and it be something from which we would like to take wisdom from. We can always learn something in those situations that even may seem overwhelming or negative. So what if we become a people like Solomon, that we can try to achieve everything we want, fame, wealth, prestige, status, stuff. But if instead of trying to be about those things and making those things our priority, what if we be about a people seeking wisdom? And remember, wisdom is discerning understanding. So what if, as we find ourselves in situations where we disagree or find ourselves in situations where we feel overwhelmed, what if we will look at it and ask, okay, God, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? Discerning wisdom. if we'll do that, if we'll look at situations in that manner, then I think there are some metaphorical things that are in this story with Solomon that apply to our lives. So we see that Solomon asks God, okay, so here's what I want. I don't want all this stuff. If you'll just give me wisdom and understanding. And so what happens? We read that Solomon was given everything. He was given all the things that he didn't ask for, fame and wealth and prestige. And I think the moral of that story is, whether you even believe in this story or not, the moral of the story is when we seek wisdom and when we are willing to know that we don't know and look at a bigger picture and start asking questions, the rewards that will come in our lives are so great and so rich that we will find that our lives take on new meaning. So there are some real principles that we can apply to our lives to make this happen. So I want you to take a look at these. The first is that we choose wisdom. We have to choose. So that's my point about Tuesday. When we come into receiving the election results, whether our person or people win or not, no matter how disappointed we might be, what if we make a conscious decision to approach it with positivity? And what if we approach it and choose to try to see things from all perspectives so that we don't become, like a person of doom or gloom. And, I frankly, and don't get angry, but I think both candidates bring positive things to the table. Everybody has positive things. Years ago, I don't know, 8, 12 years ago, I was teaching a Bible study at Williamson's Chapel, and I never really thought through how politicized sometimes we can become and how much people cling to elections. I personally don't. I just think God is going to be in all things and will use all things for good if we let God. And so I think there's always positives and I think there are always negatives in any election, in any candidate. But I was teaching a Bible study the day after the election, and you could walk in the room and just feel the tension, like no one was talking. And that was atypical for this group of people. So I'm like, okay, hey, let's get started. And I said, let's start, this morning with some prayer concerns. How are you? And what can we pray for you for? And we were going around the table and one lady said, the Antichrist has just been elected. Now, if you have not grown up in a traditional, very conservative church, the Antichrist is like the really, really bad thing. And that's a whole other message series, the book of Revelations and the metaphors that are included in that. But she was convinced that, number one, the Antichrist was a literal figure, and that, she really thought and believe the Antichrist had been elected. And you know what? The whole tenure and temperature of that group just tanked. And for months after that, this really positive and uplifting Bible study, we really wrestled because people were so unhappy. We get to choose. We really do. Our happiness in life. And if we will choose wisdom, and if we will choose looking at things from perspectives that are much different and bigger than ours, we will find that our lives are richer and have wealth that we never imagined. The second thing that helps us have wisdom is when we trust our instincts. There's this voice. Some would say it's a sacred voice. Some would say it isn't. It's just our conscience. But we as followers of Christ, as spiritual people, believe it is the sacred voice that speaks to us when we seek and we try to gain wisdom on top of knowledge. Trust your gut instincts. 10 years ago, when we launched as a church and launched as a campus of Williamson's Chapel, we got the opportunity to hire some staff people. And this was my first time being in charge of, a church and an organization. And HR is not anything I would ever want to do as a career. It is not my gift. I do not enjoy it. But, sometimes when you are the leader, you have responsibilities. And so we were hiring for some positions. And my stomach hurt with this candidate. On paper, they looked amazing. But in interactions with them, I would find that my stomach would hurt. And I hadn't eaten, so I'm like, well, that's not a thing. And the more they talked, the more unsettled I became. We finished the interview and we went on about our business, and we had a second interview a few days later, and I talked with some of the other folks that were interviewing this candidate, and they had some concerns, and they voiced them in questions. And I thought, okay. So I had a follow-up phone interview with this individual, and I asked the questions that other leaders had. This person had perfect answers. I mean, textbook answers. Had really successful track records. But my stomach still hurt after speaking with them. We met again as a leadership team, and I didn't tell them, that I had concerns. It all looked good on paper, and the questions and answers fit. Everybody felt like they matched, and so we hired that person. It was the first person I had to let go after an interim time. And it was so sad for me because firing people is not my gift. After it was all said and done, when we met again to do an assessment as a leadership team, I told them, I said, that first night, my stomach hurt. And the next time when I asked the questions, even though the answers on the phone interview were the right ones, I still felt unsettled. They said, why didn't you say something? And I'm like, well, because I don't have that skill set. I've never hired people before. And I just figured I didn't have the right knowledge to bring to the table. And some wise leaders who had much more experience in life, who had much more wisdom than I did, said, always trust your gut. You were praying about it. You were asking God to reveal to you. Always trust your gut. So I would encourage us all to do that as we seek wisdom. The next thing we need to do is we need to set boundaries. We need to decide what it is that we need wisdom about. What are the circumstances? And be very intentional about thinking through and processing that certain situation and instance. Because if we aren't careful, there's so many different factors and parts and pieces that can come in and start pushing us, and we'll get clouded. We need to set some real boundaries around what it is that we're wrestling with, what it is that we're seeking wisdom for. And then, one of the other really important things is to surround ourselves with wisdom. Just like I told you about that leadership team, there are really, really wise people in each of our lives. One of my first senior pastors told me, as you build your staff team and as you build your leadership teams, don't ever just put people on there that are yes people, people that are going to kiss up to you or just want to be your best friend. Always surround yourself with people that you think are smarter than you. That is something that I've tried to do over the years when we make staff hires and when we put people into leadership roles. It's why yesterday Dawn went to the high school parking lot and set up those cars and all those parts and pieces, because had I done it, it would have just been chaos. We do believe when we seek God and we seek love, that God is at work in our lives in and through all things, no matter how bad or uncertain, God's always at work. And we believe that God leads people, and hear that, and not puts, puts people, but leads, nudges people into our midst that are at the right place at the right time. There are people in your life that have wisdom. Surround yourself with those people. Don't be afraid to admit that you don't know, which is the next point. Learn from your mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? Like, I will never not try on my Halloween costume again before the day of or the minute of the event starting. The Halloween costume is a silly example. We all make mistakes. We get in relationships that are not conducive to us. We take the wrong job. We make the wrong financial decision. We do things that are not advantageous for our health. We do things that get in the way of us being whole and living this amazing, rich, and full life. But we have this opportunity to learn from our mistakes. We can be mindful. It just takes a little humility. It takes a willingness to say, you know what, I know I screwed up. What can I learn from this? And how can I apply it to my life as I move forward? And the other thing we can do is to learn from the mistakes of others. We don't have to live every bad thing to learn and gain wisdom. The people that we love, the people that we surround ourselves with, they make mistakes too. Watch and listen and learn and gain wisdom. And then, lastly, choose it daily. It is a conscious decision not to just go through life and get so overwhelmed and caught up in the emotions of the moment. If we will be intentional about looking at our circumstances and our situations and asking those questions, God, hey, what can I learn here? How can I grow from this? That's how we gain wisdom. And that's how we gain life. Solomon, he was such a really cool leader. He's known as being one of the wisest kings of all time, even in circles that aren't Christian. There was this one situation that you can read about in the book of 2 Kings, I believe. And it's this story where there were two women, and they each had a baby. And they come to the king, and it's these two women, and one doesn't have a baby when she comes to the king, and the other woman does. And they were both arguing that the one baby was theirs, because you see, the other baby had suffocated and died. So both the women come to Solomon, and they're like arguing and saying, that's my baby. And he was supposed to make a decision and give the son to the right mother. That's a huge decision to make. Taking the life of an infant and deciding who gets to take care and raise this little baby. Remember, Solomon's the one who said, God, of all the things that I can have, give me wisdom. In this moment, when the two women were standing before him, he takes a sword and he goes, okay, here's how I'm going to make my decision. Present the baby to me. I'm going to cut the baby in half, and I'm going to give you each half. And that way you both walk away with your son. One of the women was like, okay. The other woman was just flabbergasted. Absolutely not. Here, just take the baby. Solomon's like, that's his mom. The one who will act in love and sacrifice. that's his mom. I'd say God gave him some really powerful wisdom, wouldn't you? That same wisdom that Solomon had is the same wisdom that we have the opportunity to have. We just need to open our eyes and look and see, and we can claim it for ourselves. Will you pray with me? Gracious God, thank you for giving us the example of Solomon, and thank you for letting us be a people that grow and learn in wisdom. Sometimes life's lessons are painful, and maybe we don't want to gain the wisdom from them. But if we will, if we'll look at them in all of their fullness, our lives, they take on new meaning, a richer, a deeper meaning. And we can live fully into being the people that you have created and called us to be. Thank you for being a God that is one of ultimate wisdom. We offer ourselves to you in Christ's name. Amen. Take a listen to this song.
Think of your fellow man and in the helping hand, put a little love in your heart.
See, it's getting late. Oh, please don't hesitate.
Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Another day goes by, and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart.
Want the world to know you won't let hatred grow.
Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart.
When you decide, kindness will be your guide.
Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Just a little, put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart.
One of the reasons that we have big community events like Trunk or Treat or the Easter egg hunt or things like that, it's not just to like give away free stuff. It's to try to debunk the myth that religious people are hypocritical and judgmental and closed off. And so the whole idea behind, Trunk or Treat and my Halloween costume was I knew that I would have the opportunity to talk to hundreds of people yesterday and say these words. Hey, my name's Andrea Smith and I'm the pastor of West and blah, 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 blah. And so I wanted to be something, like I didn't want to be known Noah from Noah's Ark, or, the pretty little angel with the white wings. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be fun. And I wanted to be able to say, guess what? Like, we have fun here. And so I'm a fallen angel. Here are my dark angel wings. I'm the preacher. If the preacher can be a fallen angel, hey, we can not be all the stereotypes around Christianity that you may think. I did have the opportunity to have that conversation several times yesterday. And I mean, I don't know what will happen, but lots of folks said, you guys are really cool. Thank you for being willing to do something like this for the community. Several of them already either subscribed to our YouTube channel or had already watched Amped. Not West people, different people. The power of social media. But I'll promise you, I learned my lesson. I gained some wisdom, and hopefully I will not be dense, and I will apply it to more than just Halloween. I'll do a little more planning. I'll learn from other people. There was a reason Lane tried on her Halloween costume multiple times. It was to make sure that all the parts and pieces were together. We all have situations in our lives that we can learn from. And if we will claim and seek wisdom, we, like Solomon, will be so much richer. It all comes together in the end. May we be a people of wisdom, and may we be a people of prayer this week as we choose our leaders for the next years ahead. Go in peace and have a great week.
Hey guys! Welcome to Amped Online. Amped Online is a fun show where we have funny stories, crazy crafts, and messy experiments.
If this is your first time with us, we are so excited that you're here and to be a part of our team. Make sure to have your parents text the number below because we're going to send you a really cool Amped bag at the beginning of every month for totally free.
That's so awesome! So let's tell them what we're going to be doing today. Today, you're gonna see a guy doing some crazy dance moves. You're gonna be making an awesome craft that you can use at Thanksgiving. You're gonna learn a TikTok dance. And you're gonna be doing a messy experiment with the crazy scientist, Dr. Lulu.
Hey, I do have a question for you.
What's up?
What do you do right before you know you're about to bust a move?
That's a good question. So what I like to do is I like to stretch so that I don't pull a muscle or hurt myself or anything. Why don't you get up and stretch with me? Okay. Hey kids, get up and stretch with us. We're gonna teach you something today. So what we're gonna learn is a toe touch. You put one of your hands straight out in front of you and you try and kick your toes to your hand. That was good. Why don't you try again? Maybe the other foot.
Okay.
Well, maybe stretching and dancing isn't really your thing, and that's okay. Today, we're gonna watch a story of a guy that does some crazy dance moves, and he does it for an important reason. So take a look.
Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a guy named David, and he loved God so much. David would eventually grow up to be king. You might remember a story about David when he was a boy, when he killed the mighty giant Goliath with just a slingshot and a stone. Now, David did lots of awesome things. You see, there was this box. It was a holy box called the Ark of the Covenant. It had items in it that reminded people how much God loved them. And it had been stolen away during battle from the holy city, Jerusalem. David decided that it was time to bring the ark back to the holy city. Let's watch as he and his soldiers figure out the best way to get the ark home safely.
Okay guys, how are we gonna get this ark back? We have a couple of options. We can take it using a chariot.
I'm so tired of riding on chariots, guys.
Or if the horses are so tired, maybe we can just walk it back.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Do you know how far of a walk that is? And do you know what our feet are going to look like by the time we're done with this? We'll need some major foot massages and pedicures after that.
Okay, fine. Maybe walking isn't the best option. Those toes could do some damage.
Guys, walking and chariots, that's so boring. We needed something epic to show off what we've done. We just defeated the Philistines. They're the worst enemy that our people have ever fought. And we need something to celebrate. You guys remember when Buzz Lightyear was so excited in Toy Story 3 he couldn't contain himself? He was just so excited that he had to dance. He was up and moving around, just having a good time, dancing, and he took his moves to infinity and beyond.
Yeah, I like the way Buzz Lightyear broke out and danced, but if you think about it, he didn't really get a lot of people to dance with him. Remember, this is epic, legendary, historic. What can we do to show that?
Yeah, David's right. We need something epic. What if we have everyone dance in the street like they did in Aladdin? Everyone was rejoicing together and having a good time, and it included everyone. Our family, our friends, our cats, dogs, everyone. This is what it should look like.
Yes, exactly. This is exactly the type of energy we need to express. Whoa, stop. This is awesome, but we really need to take a minute to show our gratitude to God. The rest of the way to Jerusalem, I just want us to dance our way through the streets. No painful walking, no boring chariot rides. Let's give thanks to God, because it is God's power and God's might that lives in each of us that we are able to win a victory as great as this. So, are you with me?
So David and his pals had a giant party, dancing and praising God as they carried the ark back to Jerusalem.
Here we come, Jerusalem. Here we come, Jerusalem. Here we come, Jerusalem. Here we come, Jerusalem. Here we come, Jerusalem.
Everything was going great. That is, until David got home and his wife Michal saw him dancing and acting crazy. You see, they just didn't always see eye to eye on things.
He looks like a fool. There's no way for a king to act.
Thanks be to God. Sing happily to God. God gives us strength. Let the music begin and blow the horns because God has set us free. God has brought our enemies under control, and because of God, we have victory.
So you see, King David had to dance and celebrate all that God had done for him and his people, and he didn't care what anybody else thought. What an awesome guy.
I can't believe how you acted today. Do you know how ridiculous you looked? You embarrassed me. That's no way a king should act. You took off your clothes and you danced in the streets like a fool. And it wasn't even good dancing either. You were acting like someone who was so foolish.
Embarrassing? What do you mean embarrassing? We were only celebrating our victory.
If you were going to celebrate your victory, you should have celebrated like a king. Stood proudly like a king. Not dance like a fool.
I did it to honor God. He chose me to lead instead of any of your brothers or anyone else in the whole big army. I will celebrate in honor of God, and I don't care how silly or foolish it makes me look because God honors me.
You know, that King David was one cool guy. He loved God so much, and he was not afraid to show everyone. Not everybody agreed with David. You know, his wife, she was not very excited because she thought he looked foolish. But David didn't care. He wanted to love God and praise God more than anything. And that's what God wants us to do too.
In just a few weeks, you're gonna have some fantastic food for Thanksgiving. How cool would it be if you made a gift for the people that are giving you all the food for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, by the time you're done with this craft, your parent or whoever's cooking for you is gonna think this is the real deal. I mean, look at this. It looks like real corn. Oh, not the real
corn.
thing.
No. All of the supplies you're gonna need are gonna be found in your amped bag.
First, grab your 4 pipe cleaners.
Then you're gonna have a bag of beads. And be careful, because there's like 80 in here. And you wanna make sure you don't drop them, because you might have pets around and they might try to eat them. So don't do what I just did.
Yeah, so anyway, let's get started. Hey kids, so for today's craft, you're gonna be making this super lifelike corn made from pipe cleaners and beads. So I'm making this for Farmer Sally Jane here. She works in this cornfield that's behind me, and she's making me a delicious Thanksgiving dinner. So I decided I would make this for her as a way of thanks. So let's get started. First, you're gonna take all 4 of your pipe cleaners. You're gonna twist them in the middle like this, just a few times. Then you're gonna separate all of the pieces. There should be 8 total, so it's kind of gonna look like a little star. Then, once you have them all separated, you're gonna take your beads and you're gonna fill all 8 of these with about 10 beads each. You want to leave about 1 inch of room, which is about that much at the end. So here is what one of the sides looks like. So now do that with all the rest of the sides. Okay. Now that you have all 8 of your sides done, you're gonna bring them all up like this. You might need to get you a partner here like Sally Jane to help you in case some of the beads fall off the end. Bring them all up. And then what you're gonna do once you have all of them up like this is you're gonna twist the top so that they're all together and the beads won't fall off this way. And then you might have to shape it a little bit to get it the way you want it to be. I squeezed mine a little bit to get it. And there you go. You've got your lifelike corn. Now go out and make yours and give it to someone special this Thanksgiving.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. And shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
Hey kids, welcome to my lab. I'm Dr. Lulu, the crazy math and scientist, and I'm gonna come every week and teach you a cool experiment that you can do at home. But first, since this is our first time together, let me show you around my lab. This is my crazy Powerball. Oh, this is my main assistant, Einstein. Einstein, say hello to the kids. Einstein says hello. This is Bonehead. He helps me think when I just can't quite get it together. And this is Boris. He's my amazing spider, and he can do so many things. Just wait till you see what he helps me with. Now, every week we're gonna do an experiment that you can do at home. So, you may need an assistant too. So I'll give you a little time to find your assistant, and then we'll come back and do our first experiment. What is it, Einstein? Oh, it's time for our first experiment. Einstein's so excited, and so am I. We today are gonna make gummy worms dance. I know it sounds impossible, but guess what? Science can do so much. So here's what we need first. First, you get your gummy worm, and this is a really important step, and you might need a grown-up to help you with this part. You see, fat gummy worms can't dance, but skinny gummy worms can. So get a grown-up and get them to help you cut the gummy worms into smaller strips. Each gummy worm should make about 3 or 4 strips. Once your gummy worms are ready, you have to get your water ready. So take some water, put it in a container, and then add your baking soda. About 3 big tablespoons. And then you stir that up, and once it's ready, put in your gummies. And now we have to wait about 30 minutes to let your gummy worms soak, okay? So we'll be back after that. Now it's time for our next step. You take your vinegar, don't smell it, and pour it into a glass container. Now it's time to make them dance. So you take your gummy worms that have been in your baking soda. Oh, they're very slimy. And you put them in your vinegar. And watch what happens. Sometimes it takes a little while. They're alive! And that's how you make gummy worms dance. I hope you had fun today. Can't wait to see you next time for another crazy science experiment.
Hey guys! You all looked so good in your Halloween costumes on Halloween. We were so happy to see you. Now it's time to announce the winners of the mask decorating contest. The winners are...
And the winners of our scavenger hunt are Sam, Faith, Jennifer, Aria, and Tobias. Congratulations to all of our winners. Happy Halloween!
Sometimes we may not realize it, but we've got so many good things going on in our lives. Maybe we made a really good grade on a test, or we hung out with a friend and had a great time, or maybe you got to spend some time with your mom, dad, brother, sister, grandparent, whoever, and just made some really great memories.
When we have special things in our lives, we have to realize that it brings us joy. And from that joy is love, and we have that love in our hearts. And what that love is God. And God lives in us and lives in our hearts every single day. And remember, you don't have to be really famous or like good at stretching or dancing because I'm obviously not, to be happy and to show that you're happy.
So we've got a challenge for you today and for this week. We want you to work really hard to show how happy you are and show love to others.
Like David did.
Yeah, exactly like David. So why don't you go out and try that this week?
Thought he was the king of America, where they pour Coca-Cola just like vintage wine. Now I try hard not to become hysterical, and I'm not sure if I'm laughing or crying. I wish that I could push a button